Hello, good evening, everyone. Warm welcome to Business Live. Coming up, Social Security and National Insurance Trust (SNIT) increases monthly pension payment by 25% for 2023. We will hear from Director General John Ofori-Tinkrang.
Last year, the indexation rate was 10%, and it's increased 150%. 150% increase to 25. I'm sure you can appreciate the kind of stress that it puts on us.
Also in this bulletin, lawyer David Ofosu-Dotte challenges claims that individual bondholders have little legal options against the debt exchange program due to state immunity.
If, for example, you deny me my principal, I'm talking about principal, not interest. Essentially, are you not denying me of my right to my asset?
Yeah.
So it becomes a constitutional issue as to whether you go to the Supreme Court for interpretation or whatever. That's another matter.
Plus, World Bank commits a $13 million strategic investment fund for the development of the Greater Kumasi Industrial City and Economic Zone projects.
It's about creating industries. So we feel that when this project is fully executed, that it will contribute significantly to our job creation agenda in our country.
Details of these and many others lined up for you. Please stay. Grateful you could stay on. I am Pious Kojo Backah. A look now at our stories. The Social Security and National Insurance Trust (SNIT), in consultation with the National Pensions Regulatory Authority, has increased the monthly pension payment by 25% for this year. According to the Director General of SNIT, Dr. John Ofori-Tinkrang, about 70% of pensioners might get above the 25% increment due to redistribution, while low earners will receive a 43% increase in their pension payment. Here's more.
Benefit expenditure with the increase of 25% in pension payments. The increase in pension benefits is as a result of the change in inflation. Speaking at the 2023 pension indexation, Director General of SNIT, Dr. John Ofori-Tinkrang, said due to redistribution, about 70% of pensioners might get above the 25% increment.
We have to keep the faith with our pensioners. We cannot make them worse off. So if you look at the fact that last year the indexation rate was 10% and it's increased 150%, 150% increase to 25. I'm sure you can appreciate the kind of stress that it puts on us, on the scheme. And another way to look at it is also like this. You see that because we've had to do that redistribution, the 70%, almost 70% of our pensioners are going to get above 25% increase. So there are people at the low end. The guy who was the lowest earning pensioner is going to now get 43.53%, which is close to the numbers, the inflation numbers that we are talking about. So yes, I would admit that it is not what under normal economic circumstances we should be aiming to do. But I hope you agree with me that it's better than some of the alternatives that people have.
The General Secretary of the National Pensioners Association, Stephen Boache, added that the increasing pension payment was timely and would help reduce the burden on pensioners in this era of economic hardship.
We're not expecting that we get this percentage, to be frank. Looking at the COVID-19 and its related problems, coupled with the current air that is blowing in the whole world economically, we were even thinking that we'll get less than the 10% we had last year. But surprisingly, this 25%, which is about 150% of last year's destiny, we are very, very grateful. God has listened to our prayers, and we are very happy, and our people too.
Now, lawyer and business strategist David Ofosu-Dortey is challenging claims that there is little legal option for individual bondholders that are kicking against the debt exchange program. It follows revelations that government has been able to secure immunity from any legal action concerning this debt exchange program. But Mr. Ofosu-Dortey insists individuals must be allowed to test the legal system on the issue. He spoke on PM Express Business Edition.
Let's take what a contract is, and then I'm not trying to go legalistic. A contract has certain principles for it to be able to become a contract. But no contract can be enforced if it's illegal, right? What if you went to court and a judge declared that that very clause you are talking about is void for illegality, as an example, notwithstanding that you entered into it? I'm not saying that is what will happen. The point I'm making is there is a public policy principle I want us to avoid. That public policy principle is a situation where anybody, it doesn't matter who, would deny the individual the ability to go to court and seek redress, even if you will lose. Give them that chance. Don't prevent people from going to. I have made an argument, or I've pointed in the direction of an economic right. Our constitution, under both the directive principle of state policy and throughout Article 20, draws attention to our economic rights and the right of a person's asset not to be expropriated. If, for example, you deny me my principal, I'm talking about principal, not interest. Essentially, are you not denying me of my right to my asset?
Yeah.
So it becomes a constitutional issue. As to whether you go to the Supreme Court for interpretation or whatever, that's another matter. I want to emphasize that no lawyer, or as a lawyer, would never tell anybody that don't go to court. I'm not advising anybody go to court either. I'm more concerned about the first approach I've heard many people take. Don't go to court, you will lose, etc. Because it makes people frustrated. And the opposite of don't go to court, you will lose, is very dangerous for the society. I think we should avoid that. Both the public sector and the private sector should avoid that. Allow the individuals the right. The Constitution guarantees them to go to court for anything whatsoever. Let them go and leave the judges to decide.
Meanwhile, Mr. Ofosu-Dortey is warning that confidence in the finance and banking sector could be hit badly in the coming months. That is, if the debt exchange program is not handled well by government. His fears are based on the current structure of the program and concerns being expressed by individual bondholders.
I know very close friends and relatives who have essentially, based on collective investment scheme, mark-to-market alone, they've lost about 20% plus what was their principal as at the time this happened. And it's affected them drastically, right? So I think the individual component is the most painful one. But if I take that one aside and to put that there, I think the lack of confidence in the financial sector is a very dangerous way that we are going. And it's not new. I've gone back on this in a previous presentation like this. Under the PNDC regime, if you had more than 50 CDs or something like that, you had a problem. People lost confidence in the financial sector, keeping monies at home, their mattresses, etc. Then, finally, after some 20 years or so, people get confidence. And then I make reference to the 2014, I think 2014, February. It was Valentine's Day, where we had some circular from Bank of Ghana where you basically could not hold dollar anymore. And a lot of people lost money. I lost money. We lost confidence. Then, just when we were about to regain it, the financial sector, a lot of Capital Bank, UT Bank, they all vanished, and we lose confidence again. Then you have the banking financial institution, then the likes of NAM1 and all. It's been going on. Then just when we think the confidence is being restored, we have debt exchange. I have seen people who have bought safes and trying to keep money away from banks. So if we have a situation where people go after the banks, run on the banks, or another bank collapses, or people refuse to now send money to banks and stop saving, or save with other non-cash instruments like buy property, or send their money abroad by buying dollars, we will have killed confidence in the financial sector, and it will take a very long time to recover. Yeah. For a country which wants to improve savings culture.
And more on the debt exchange program, the Ghana Individual Bondholders Forum has hinted that bondholders will lose about 88.2% of their investments at the current inflation rate if the government goes ahead and includes individuals in the domestic debt exchange program. Now, according to the forum, the bondholders would, however, lose 71% of their investments when discounted at current treasury bill rates and 50% when the coupon rate face a haircut. There is more in this report.
In a statement, the forum said President Akufo-Addo's promise of no loss or haircut has not in any form been honored. It stressed that, though the president was explicit that there will be no haircut in his public address on December 5, 2022, quoting 1 Samuel chapter 30, verses 19, saying, "Nothing was missing, small or great. That has not been the case." The forum went on to describe President Akufo-Addo's tenure as one having policies impoverishing citizens whose primary duty to the country was to service and love through hard work and taxes. It concluded that the group as persons possessing technical and policy skills willing to assist governments explore viable options without catastrophically impairing the interest of individual bondholders. The forum claimed direct individual bondholding and holdings through collective investment schemes stand at about 15.5 billion cedis, representing about 11% of the eligible bonds and the capitalized interest.
Now, an investment banker has underscored the impact of government's debt exchange program on set revenue targets of businesses for the year 2023, according to partner corporate transactions and investment banking at Bridgewater Advisors Limited, Prosper Melome. It is essential for businesses to tread cautiously in their operations in order to reduce the impact. Well, this is part of recommendations he made on how businesses should approach planning finances in an austere macro environment. He spoke earlier on the marketplace.
First and foremost, if you're a business exposed to this, definitely this will have some form of impact on your numbers here and there, your cash flows. You have to find a way to manage that. But that aside, you cannot ignore the macro environment. For every business currently, if you, in terms of approach to financial planning or financial strategy, you have to look at the macro picture like a funnel, and then look at that relationship within the micro context of your business, and then factor that into your budgeting cycle. That is the first thing. The second part of it is to work within a more shorter planning time frame. You know, out of your main strategy, you have to factor in shorter time frames in order to consider changes in the environment. You can't just take the normal approach of being laid back, have an annual budget, run within that context. Now you have to be looking at the current movements on the market, particularly as it pertains to your business, to know how to respond.
So you've got to pay attention. Well, so what are the biggest threats to finances with the current business scenario that we find ourselves in?
I mean, the cost lines, generally, because of inflation. So you have escalating costs. It's difficult to plan within this type of environment. And then you also have the issue of the exchange situation. You know, for corporate Ghana, I would say most offices, for example, within these commercial buildings, although we talk about the regulations insisting that businesses shouldn't price in dollars and all of that, you have corporate or commercial buildings pricing in the dollar. Okay, and so your forecast for rent, for example, will change rapidly. You know, if you look at the movement in exchange. So these are the core points that businesses will have to look at when it comes to some of the financing issues.
And then how do you deal with these threats? Pay attention?
Yes, you have to pay attention to them in terms of, you could probably, like the rent situation, you could probably go sit back with your property managers, whoever it is, and come with some form of control mechanisms towards the exposures.
This is still Business Life with me, Pious Kojo Backah. Still to come ahead, World Bank commits a $13 million strategic investment fund for the development of the Greater Kumasi Industrial City and Economic Zone projects.
It's about creating industries. So we feel that when this project is fully executed, that it will contribute significantly to our job creation agenda in our country.
Welcome back from that break. This is still Business Life with me, Pious Kojo Backah. Let's touch on some trade-related story. An outgoing Minister for Trade and Industry, Alan Tremantin, has revealed a $13 million strategic investment fund from the World Bank for the development of the Greater Kumasi Industrial City and Economic Zone project. It is in anticipation of a $150 million facility from the South Korean government for the extension of the off-site industrial facilities. Mr. Tremantin, who introduced leadership of the World Bank to the Asantehene in Kumasi, says the park, when completed, will be a game changer in the country's industrialization drive. Nana Yaujima has more in the following reports.
The Greater Kumasi Industrial Park is envisaged to be the prime manufacturing hub of the country. It sits on a 5,000-acre land at Ejoso in the Ashanti region. The facility will host different industrial parks within the city for the manufacturing of different products. Former Minister of Trade and Industry, Alan Tremantin, explains the enclave will create job opportunities for the youth and improve the national economy.
And we know from the experience of the most advanced economies in the world that it's about creating industries. So we feel that when this project is fully executed, that it will contribute significantly to our job creation agenda in our country. So Your Royal Majesty, respectfully, we bring this to your attention, and hopefully that you take this as a personal challenge and drive this particular initiative.
With the initial investment made, the project is expected to attract private sector participation. It is believed the Africa Continental Free Trade Area will offer opportunities for participants to reach foreign markets.
Now the world is opening up. With the African Continental Free Trade Area, there are investors both within the country and outside the country who are seeing the opportunity that is offered by the AFCFTA to establish industrial enterprises in Ghana. We want this new industrial city and special economic zone to be the prime investment destination and the manufacturing hub for our country. And the plan is to have different industrial parks within the industrial city. So there's going to be an agro-industrial park which would concentrate on manufacturing of foods and beverages. There's going to be a garment village. There's going to be a pharmaceutical park and a biomedical center. There's going to be a new technology and innovation center trying to replicate what we have in the Silicon Valley. We're also going to have a mineral processing zone, an enclave. We have so much minerals that are mined in the Ashanti region.
Meanwhile, the World Bank has assured preparedness to help develop the country with focus on digitalization. Pierre Laporte is country director of the World Bank. For Joy News, Nana Yaujima, Kumasi.
Let's stay along on trade because news coming in indicates that President Akufo-Addo has appointed Lands and Natural Resources Minister Samuel Abu-Jinapor to act as the Minister of Trade and Industry. In a release from the Director of Communications, Eugene Ayin, says the President of the Republic, Nana Dankwa Akufo-Addo, has tasked the Minister for Lands and Natural Resources, Honorable Samuel Abu-Jinapor, MP, to assume responsibility for the Ministry of Trade and Industry with effect from Monday, 16th January 2023, pending the appointment of a substantive replacement for the outgoing minister, Mr. Alan Tremantin, and it is signed by the Director of Communications Office of the President, Eugene Ayin there. Moving on to some other stories. Most stationery items on the market have increased by more than 100% this year when compared to the previous academic year. Traders say even though they are cashing out, They are concerned about parents who are bearing the brunt of the astronomical increase. In addition, they accused some private school teachers of crippling their business. My colleague Beverly Bloom examines the price changes in stationery items in this year's edition of today's business shopping list.
We visited the Makola market to speak to some stationery sellers here, and they complained of the high prices of their items, which is deterring parents from purchasing them. We are here again today to gauge the mood, as well as to look at the margin of increase that has been put on these items, whether or not parents are buying. This is the Joy Business Shopping List, and I am Beverly.
With the teacher's notebook, we have 12 cedis, we have 15 cedis, 17 cedis, and then 20 cedis. And then with the food scrap, it ranges from 20 cedis, 45 cedis, and then 65 cedis. Yes.
So, for example, last academic year, how much were you selling the food scrap?
Well, last academic year, food scrap, we used to have 12 cedis. The list was 12 cedis and then 15 cedis, but it seems like since last year, we've not had that kind of ranges of that prices.
Do you have exercise books?
Yes, we do.
Okay, so the note one.
So note one, a pack goes for 70 cedis. Okay. Yes. So it contains 20 pieces. So last academic year, for instance, the note one was between 40 cedis, 50 cedis thereabout. But this time around, it's now 70 cedis. The nonsense is now 15 cedis.
15 cedis?
Yes, 15 cedis. And if you with 50 cedis, it's just for these normal black ones that people don't normally like. With Nataraj Maset, for instance, it goes for 30 cedis. So with the textbooks, we have secondary school, we have junior high, and even with the junior high, based on the new curriculum, you know, it has been divided. We have basic 7, 8, and 9. First, it used to be combined, but now they have been separated because of the new educational system which is coming in. So with the junior high, we have basic 7, 8, and 9, and customers are complaining of this new curriculum because at first, basic 7, 8, and 9 was together. So you buy one book, let's say Akiola Maths, it's basic, it's from JHS 1 to JHS 3. But since it has been divided, customers are complaining of the price because you have to buy basic 7, then the next year you buy basic 8, the following year you come and buy basic 9. But at first you used to buy just the combined one. Yes, and even one price of the basic 7, it's almost the combined, the before combined one. Yes, so customers are complaining about this new curriculum.
This one, we were selling in 7 cedis, so but it's now 20 Ghana. 20 Ghana. We were selling in 7 cedis, but it's now 20 Ghana.
Why?
That's how it has been. If you ask for reduction, they will give you at 1 cedi 70 pesos. Hey, what do we call it? 17 cedis. Yeah. And then we have this pen too. DPS, it was previously 25 cedis, but it's now 45 cedis. Increase of 20 cedis difference. Sometimes when they ask, then they go. When they ask, then they go until they are satisfied. That's how the thing has been.
Last year was 25 to 30 cedis. Now the golden English, the English is 60 cedis. We are talking about it, but it just don't want to reduce this price. He was saying when he's going to take it from the Abo, the tax when they are taking, that's what making the price go on. That's why. And you see, so everybody, Akiola, the mass, it was 60 cedis last year. Now it's 120 cedis. Formerly they were giving us 30% this year. Now they are saying 20%. Also advanced dictionary is now 120 cedis, and the current is 80 cedis. Formerly it's not so. Formerly the advance is around 80 cedis, and now it's 120 cedis. And so they double the whole things, and we are worrying for the parents. When parents want something, it's made very difficult for us to do. And then now the teachers are taking the whole thing. They'll go they'll come and take when they bring the list, they say some of the books they have in the school, which is they're not supposed to sell in the school, but they are selling in the school. And then they are double their prices at the school too. So we don't want It's just they are spoiling the business.
So there you have it. Prices of stationery items has shot up, most of them by 100%. So when next you are coming to the market to buy some stationery items for your ward, know that the prices have changed from the previous academic year. My name is Beverly Broom.
And that's all in this package by way of Business Life with me, Pious Kojo Backah. Always a pleasure serving you. For more news, log on to myjoyonline.com/business. Do have a lovely weekend. Bye-bye.